nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. Rafa, I can tell it's getting to be bracketology season because my load work show prep. So sorry for the delay. Like I said here, I updated the standings and then I started the Region 4 bracketology and took a little bit longer to kind of go through and piece together stuff here. So that's why it's a half-hour delay on my part here. Rafa, how are you? How's life treating you? I know you were out at Mission City this past weekend with the Mexican national team for women, I believe is what it was, for the youth, right?
For men and women, for U13 and U15.
So,
yeah, so I went.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I went down there. Like I said, I used to coach with Mission City, and my old DOC called me up and said, "Hey, you want to come check it out?" I said, "Sure." I went down there, helped out. When they did their little scrimmages, just to keep time with them and just kind of watch the talent. There are a lot of talented kids out there. A lot of them coming up to the pipeline for high schools, or a couple of them did recognize me from the show.
You're famous.
And yeah, and it was good because I saw there were a lot of 8th, 9th graders, some sophomores, and I got to meet the staff, and what their goal is to find players, and they're basically exploring the whole Southwest, and then once they're complete, they'll make an evaluation and they'll send invitations out to 2 big camps, one in California and one here in Texas. They haven't said exactly where in Texas. Hopefully it's here in San Antonio. And then out of those 2 super ID camps, and that's how they're going to make the team and take them down to Mexico City for a tournament in the summer.
So outstanding. I saw some of the pictures and videos that you did, and like I said, had fears that you were going to get signed away, and then I'll have to recruit Scott to come back down or bring in somebody else for that here. But big week. I know for me the big news was AJ got promoted up from JV for Stevens up to Stevens varsity for the last 3 games. So sophomore, I was a proud dad, and he got some time against Brennan this past week, and he was like the speed and how the players make their runs is a whole lot faster. Physically, he was able to kind of hold on because, to be honest, it's a physical game, so he wasn't shy about that. But Stevens ended up losing 3-1 to a good Brennan squad here, but he was on the pitch when they scored their goal. And I asked him, I was like, "How close were you?" He's like, "I was real close. I couldn't get to it because they were holding me, so I just shielded them away." So I was like, because they look like an old rugby scrum, through there here in the box. But well, Rafa, we got to do some check on the TAPPS playoff brackets. The TAPPS ladies are done. We'll kind of go through that, get the kind of review for that here. I think a lot went as expected. A couple upsets maybe through there here. But let's get to it here. So in TAPPS Division 1 girls, I think you labeled them the dynasty. Continued. They got they got through from Parish Episcopal 2-1 in the semis, and then beat St. Agnes 4-0 in the finals for another title for that here. For unfortunately for the San Antonio area schools, they went out early. Antonio lost to Parish in the regional 7-2, and then in Carnarvon, and I know we talked about this already, got upset by Nolan Catholic for that here. But for Division One, now Division Two, a little bit different story. You really underestimated Grace Community Tyler. You had them lose it in the first round to St. Michael's, but they ended up going all the way through. And to me, upsetting St. John 23rd College Football Academy, who was undefeated on the season. 5-3. Congratulations to the Grace community out of Tyler for winning the TAPPS Division II for the ladies here. Your thoughts kind of on that run by Grace Community? Obviously, they're a solid program just looking at the record. But, they got the job done, especially against a good team from Katy.
Kudos to them. I mean, like I said, I think going in, people felt Katy St. John the 23rd was going to be the favorite or run away with this. But, when it comes to the playoffs, if you get hot at the right time, and here's a perfect example here, they got it all together. They got some close wins against some quality teams too. So, and, 2 big wins over, like I said, Grapevine and also Regents. So they took out some powerhouses, and they took the biggest one and they captured the title. So congratulations to them, to Tyler Grace Community.
So then moving to the one closest to our heart, Keene Christian came through. A lot of green on this bracket. I'll give you credit here. You missed the Colleyville, but outside of that, you had everything green all the way to the final, where unfortunately Geneva came. School of Bernie, their great season unfortunately came up just a little bit shy against McKinley. I know they got down 1-0 in the first half and just weren't able to pull out the win for the San Antonio area. But I think for them, what can you say? A successful season. Win 2 out of 3 against JP2 out of shirts, and 2 of them were pretty convincing wins there, and the one loss was a loss in PKs. But for Geneva, like I said here, an outstanding season. Obviously, McKinley Christian, looking at their record, out of the Division One, District One up there, 12-3, 10-0. Beat a tough Brook Hill Bullard, who was 17-3-1, and then ended up going through Geneva, who was 15-0 and 1, 7-0. Now they did have the loss, but that's when the records were stopped as far as the regular season. So, your thoughts on Geneva, and then your thoughts on McKinney going through and not when in probably, in my opinion, the toughest TAPPS girls title.
Yeah, what you can say about Geneva, it was a special season for them. I know it was heartbreaking losing that district title game, but then they came back and won a barn burner of a game against that Bay Christian, that last second goal. And then they got them to the state semifinal. And then, like I said, they had the third match, the trilogy with JP2, and they took care of business. And it looked like maybe this was it. They were going to claim the crown, and just unable. It just came a little short. I guess McKinney just was a little bare for that day, but it was a successful season, and hopefully, like I said. Now, like we mentioned about the new changes for TAPPS realignment, like I said, we'll see how this could this be something helpful for them moving forward. Like I said, they've built a foundation, and who's to say next year they're not the favorites.
I know for me, and in speaking with Coach Cano, who used to coach in TAPPS, I personally would love to see day, what was that, Tuesday that they played the first round, right? Tuesday, first, the semifinals for the girls. Wednesday, the semifinals for the boys. Then the championship games, for the girls on, which would be today, right? On Thursday, and then the championship games for the boys the following day. So that way, there's a day break between the matches, because these are the semifinals and finals. You want to have the best, and that's not using this as an excuse for Geneva. I think I've said this for the third or fourth year in a row. That I would, to me, let them have a day break, in between, get recharged, through there. And I know they're young kids and along those lines. And for club times, they play, 2-3 games, sometimes 2 games a lot of times in a day. But I think, I think both for UIL and for TAPPS having that proper break, I think you'd get a better product on the pitch for both teams for that here. Any thoughts on that, Rafa, as far as having it a little bit different, as far as spreading it out between the boys and girls where it's a little bit more even?
Yeah, I think they need to do something similar to what the UIL does. But the only difference is there are some teams, like some of the 4As, they play the game the next day. Same thing like the 6As. They only get like a 1-day turnaround, and honestly with them being, but, they can kind of space it out. But like I said, when we talk to Coach Cano, I guess to the TAPPS is time is money. And they want to get everything done as quick as possible. And, then I guess they don't want them to be out of class. But, for them, they can really do. I know, like I said, they were playing a couple games at the same time, and they're at that Round Rock Soccer Complex.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done, Thursday, Thursday for the Division 3, or even Wednesday for Division 3. The next day you do Division, 2, and then Friday in Division 1, or something like some type of combination, or play 4 games and then still kind of be able to space it out. But like I said, it is what it is, and I think what kind of help, I think, for the teams that win, if you have enough depth, and if you can get a quick win in the semifinals, it benefits you. But if you have a barn burner of a game, I think, and if it takes a toll on you, your leg, it's hard to getting your legs back, on a quick turnaround after 24 hours. So, like I said, it comes down to who has the best depth and who's got the freshest legs.
And I will say this for TAPPS, charging $9.99 a game is a little excessive. I would pay $9.99 to watch the whole tournament, or $20 if you wanted to do boys and girls. But $9.99 a game, like I said, that's even more than MLS charges. But moving on to the boys, they're still in action. They're in today. JB2 out of Plano, 3 over St. Prius Catholic out of Houston, 0. And Central Catholic out of San Antonio, 3-0 over Cathedral out of El Paso, which I think you're one of the few that kind of had Cathedral kind of making the march, getting past the Village School, knocking off Bishop Lynch out of the Dallas area, while Central Catholic went through St. Thomas and then went through there, while JP2 got by Antonian 1-0 in a close match, as far as kind of looking for common opponents here. But they play tomorrow. I know you've got Central Catholic selected as your favorite to win. Your thoughts on on Central Catholic being able to pull it off against a good JP2 team?
I think they learned from last year's loss, and I think they're, like I said, they're really focused. It's going to be a tough game. Any game with the Dallas area team, it's they know what to expect. It's going to be a challenge, and but like I said, they have great coaching. Someone that's won a state championship So he knows what it takes to, like I said, Coach Rule knows what it takes to. He's been there. He knows how to prepare for it. What they need, what are the things they need the players to look into, and so forth. And like I said, this is going to be a very good game. Just kind of looking at like I said, JP2's only got one loss in the season against. I'm trying to look and see it, and that was against Bishop Lynch. They played some similar teams, on the way to this, but kind of comparing to, like I said, they just squeaked by Antonio 1-0.
Antonio and 1-0, right?
Yeah, 1-0.
That would have been at JP2.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a home.
And if you look at what Central Catholic's done as far as their record and for who they've played, you can see that they've really kind of challenged themselves. They have wins over Lee. They have a 4-1 win over Lake Travis, who was a state champ 2 years ago. A close loss to a very good Capel team, but like I said, convincing wins is what they've had. They did have some adversity against St. Thomas, and that
they were down early,
that quarterfinal
right
game. Right? Yeah, they were down early, but they found a way, and that goes back to coaching. And they have, like I said, they have someone that has a lot of experience, and maybe there's a question I'm hoping maybe I'd ask Coach Cowden. So if Coach Rule wins this state championship for TAPPS, will he be the first coach in Texas high school to win not only a UIL and a TAPPS state championship? That'd be. I'd like to ask him to see if he'd be the first. So if he is, that'd be a great feat to have, and kind of a little that signature career he's done with his coaching career. But this is going to be a tough game if Central Catholic can get on early. They have to get the lead on and dictate the pace. Last year, I remember Steve mentioned, they kind of let the other team kind of hang around and then ended up biting them in the butt. So hopefully, like I said, Central Catholic can pull it off and bring back. Like I said, the last time they won the trophy was some little guy that's playing in Denmark that also played here for SAFC. He got 3 rings during his little span there at Central Catholic. So I think they're overdue one.
So looking at Division 2, TMI lost to St. Joseph's out of Brownsville, which not surprising because they were the top 2 teams in District 4 that we cover. On the other side, a little bit of a surprise with St. Michael's getting past Grapevine Faith Christian for that here, where it's not a DFW school, kind of in the area, but you've got, South and Central Texas for Division 2, St. Michael's Catholic, which would be a semi home game, right? With it up in Georgetown versus St. Joseph Brownsville. From when I was doing the scout here, it did show. It looks like St. Joseph's did come back from an early goal against TMI.
And this is going to be it's going to be a very competitive game, probably two contrasting styles of play between these two teams, and you got it's who can dictate their style on each other. That's probably going to be the determination who wins this game. But kudos to, like I said, the Brownsville St. Joseph's to get this far. That's, like I said, they're a team not to be taken lightly, and they've played some tough opponents, but they've had, like I said, they've also had little Jekyll and Hyde, because, like I said, they won some big games against like San Antonio Christian TMI. Then they got, they lost some big and lost to them too. So we'll see what team shows up. I'm sure St. Michael's is probably the favorite, but this is going to be, it's not going to be easy for them. It's going to be a tough one, and we'll see how this one ends up.
If there's one rule that I've learned between Scott and you, don't discount a team from Brownsville.
No.
So if you go against Brownsville, that's on you. The final one here for the TAPPS, Brook Hill Bullard, 6-5 thriller over Prince of Peace Carrollton. And then British International School 2-1 over St. Thomas Episcopal for that here. And you got British International. Should be a good one, though. Brook Hill Bullard and British International, both quality programs. Looking at their records, one loss each in the conference or the district, and then both solid programs. Should be a heck of a match tomorrow afternoon for Division III.
Yeah, like British International has kind of been the staple, like I said, for the private schools in the Houston area, and they've, like I said, they've been here, done that, and this is another opportunity to add another championship for them. So we'll see how this turns out for them. They got a challenge. That Brook Hill team is gonna, they're not gonna lie down and roll over them. So it's kind of, like I said, just kind of pick your poison which one on this one, because I could see this game going to overtime, and we'll see what they do, how this one turns out. But this could probably be one of the best matches of the day for TAPPS.
And then, hold on, getting ready to open it before we transition to standings and kind of where things are looking at on the UIL. All right, so let's add this here. All righty here. So looking at 6A. So starting out with the ladies. District 27, New Braunfels, they've already clinched the division. Judson second, Steele third, Clemens fourth. Outside of the seedings, which you've got, I think, one game difference, right, for second or third. So where Steele or Judson could get through. Judson gets New Braunfels, and Steele travels to Clemens. For that here, Clemens is locked into the 4th seed, I believe. Yeah, should be locked into the 4th. Well, I guess if they beat Steele for that here, I guess they still have an outside shot at 3rd, but still has either 2nd or 3rd for there here. So. Your thoughts on 24 and the possible matchups here, or pardon me, District 27, Region 4, District 27.
So since New Braunfels pretty much has wrapped it up, they can afford to rest some players. I mean, this is the last district game for them. They could literally do that, but you have a chance to go have the T-shirt says undefeated district champs, so they may go for it. And Judson, they're trying to hold on to that 2nd spot. A tie would help. Or like I said, really the win really would kind of solidify that 2nd spot. But a tie or a loss maybe allow an opportunity for Steele to kind of leapfrog them. And then we may end up having if Clemens wins, there may be a tie for for that 3rd spot too. So it's a little logjam. There's some different scenarios. Like I said, I know Steele and Schertz are playing against each other. A Schertz win, and a Judson loss, they all have identical records. Steele may end up, even with the loss, could even get into that 2nd spot, which is a little surprising
because
if you go by the points, because if you go with 3 points, like I said, 3 points for the win. So Judson has 3 of 15. They have 16. And you're looking here, they have what? Are they missing a game? No, they have.
No, they got the extra draw. That's why I'm saying still the worst they can finish is 3rd, because
3rd. Yeah,
because they got what 9? Yeah, because they drew instead of the loss for that here. So
Steele's
actually probably should be in 2nd right now, but
yeah. So Steele's Steele is in 2nd place. So a loss there and the Judson could leapfrog, but so Judson would have to get a big win against New Braunfels. Clemens, on the other hand, like I said, if they can beat Steele and a loss by Judson, they could end up sending Judson to the 4th spot, which I'm sure Judson probably don't want to be there because we all know who they'll play, and Clemens would probably avoid that and have an opportunity to play, possibly maybe Reagan in that second game. In that by-district game.
So hold on, let me update this here. And then moving on to District 28. Johnson clinched. I believe they clinched, right? So I guess technically they haven't clinched as of yet for it here mathematically, but it would be a huge upset for them not to. Reagan at 10-2-1, Madison at 9-3-2, Lee at 8-3-2. Those are your 4 playoffs teams. So Johnson gets Marshall, Lee, Madison. Reagan gets Churchill, Roosevelt, Brandeis. Madison and Lee are the match there, and then Madison gets Johnson and Lee gets Johnson and Churchill. So to me, I think this is going to be pretty close to how it finishes for that here, especially where Madison's already played that extra match here, and they do get Johnson at the end for that here for their last match here. But Brandeis will probably be a little bit tricky, but you got to think for Reagan, Churchill, and Roosevelt probably 2 wins. Lee, luckily, well, they put in the work, so I guess it's not luck. But they've already clinched because Brandeis, even with 2 wins, would be 8-6-2. Well, I guess they could tie, right? 3 losses.
With Johnson, if they beat Marshall tomorrow, they basically clinch the district title because they'll be up because there are only 6 points left for Reagan to kind of claim. Because after that, let's say tomorrow, like I said, Johnson would be at 42 points to compare to, let's say, if Reagan does win their game, they'll be at 34. So there's mathematically they'll clinch it. Now Reagan still has to, stay ahead of Madison, and Madison, one little slip up by Reagan, Madison could leapfrog them into, to that 2nd spot. Lee's kind of have to, get up maybe a couple wins, since they're at, like I said, 24. They have 26 points, and they're 2 games. They're up 2 games on Brandeis. So a 2-game loss by Lee could spell doom for them and knock them out of the playoffs. Brandeis can still, like I said, Brandeis has 2 games left. Lee's got 3.
Left,
yeah, and if you look at Lee, they got 2 tough games there.
But the Churchill match, though, and Brandeis has Reagan, so Lee to me should. And I put that in process, should be able to get it across the finish line.
Mm-hmm. But even a tie against Madison, or maybe even a tie with Johnson, that'll get them in. But if they lose 2 straight, then it makes things very interesting. Like I said, Brandeis, they would have to get a win against Clark. It's a winnable game against Clark, and I think they could surprise Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
And Reagan's trying to fend off Madison from that 2nd spot. So there are some things that are gonna, like I said, Reagan. I know they got two games here left, 2 winnable games. So it may come down to the probably to that last game. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these seedings. But I think overall, like I said, Johnson win tomorrow or Marshall. They got the first place district title locked up.
The only problem for Madison, they get Lee and then they get Johnson, so they only have 2 games left. So that'll be the problem for Madison.
Yeah,
is they are quality opponents that they're playing. Where Reagan's got Churchill, Roosevelt, and then Brandeis. So you'd figure that they're going to be favored these first 2 matches for here, but anything can happen. And then moving to 29, Taft, 10-0-3. O'Connor's kind of separated 8-1-4. Warren 8-4-2. Brennan And John Jay is really kind of the battle here. Brennan Bears 6-3-4, John Jay 5-3-5, and even Sotomayor 4-4-5 are still in contention. Brennan's got Soto, Holmes, and John Jay, so this could be a huge match. Warren's only got Stevens, and love my Stevens High School, but unfortunately, both the boys and the girls aren't finishing this season on the strongest here. Where John Jay's got Harlan, Taft, Brennan, so tough road to go through, and even Sotomayor's got Brennan, O'Connor, and Warren. So to me, like I said here, it's Brennan could drop a little bit, but like I said, I think the top three are clearly a step above Brennan in this pack here.
Yeah, if you look at with Taft, they're up 5 points on O'Connor, so they're literally, like I said, if you look at the schedules, upcoming schedules for them, Taft really needs to have to win. I think they get 2 wins. They're pretty much locked that district title, but they do.
Yeah.
That second game may be a tough one because you may have a really, like I said, desperate J team that needs to win. They might try to pull all the stops, and if they can get a win, now make things interesting for that last game. O'Connor's in a good spot. They got pretty much three winnable games, and they pretty much can lock up that second spot. Brennan, like I said, they have 2 winnable games, but that if you look at that last game, it could come down to that. They can come down to that game against Jay for that final spot. Warren, I think they're going to get locked in. You saw their schedule. They pretty much should, like I said, they should take care of Stevens and Sotomayor. So Brennan's on that cusp. Like I said, can they hold off Jay? And if Jay can knock off Taft, it makes things interesting. And that last game could mean a lot for the last spot of the playoffs. So
for Brennan, they get home. So you figure that, unfortunately for the Holmes Huskies, they haven't won one yet. So you figure that's going to be a W for them. The match against Sotomayor and then John Jay are kind of the 2 tricky ones. Where if they can get a draw against either one of them, I think they're fairly comfortable. And the reason why it matters is first look at the bracketology for this year here. Just kind of in the top half here. It's looking Johnson versus Clemens, and this is based on how it is
right now
that I could piece together. Round Rock Westwood versus Austin Anderson, New Braunfels versus Lee, Lake Travis versus Cedar Park Vista Ridge for that here. For out of that quadrant, Johnson still looks pretty good, or do you favor any of the Austin schools?
Well, remember, Round Rock Westwood was the regional, made it to the regional state semifinal. So that'd be if this is the year for them to make it, they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna have to knock out West. Well, also don't count out Austin Anderson, because Austin Anderson, they've been having a great season. That's going to be a very tricky game for Westwood. That could go either way. If you look on down below, New Braunfels and Lee, that's going to be an interesting game there. I've seen the Lee girls play that. They have some great talent, but like I said, the New Braunfels girls, they've really turned it up. Here in the later half, especially to district play, that'll be a great game. And then, Lake Travis has kind of struggled this year. I think they'll have no problem taking care of Cedar Park, Vista Ridge. So this is Johnson's. If they're going to do it, Johnson's going to make a run for that to the regional tournament. They're going to have to be probably maybe two or three quality teams. And if they can do that, they may end up punching their ticket to Georgetown, the way they've been playing.
So looking at the bottom half of the top bracket, Harlingen, Mission, and with the Laredo schools, I had a problem trying to get their records here. And just being honest, I was running out of time here. O'Connor versus Laredo South, La Jolla, 32, the final spot in 32. Most likely going to be either Brownsville Rivera or Brownsville Hannah, but I couldn't it was too close to call. Their records were too identical to be able to, even for me, make a judgment call. So you'll find that there's a few of these stacked in here that, there'll be multiple teams listed. It could be this option, or this option, because it's still, we're 2 weeks out? Pretty close.
Yeah, 2 weeks out, close 3 weeks out.
For that here. And then Del Rio and Warren at the bottom of the bracket. But Del Rio's had a solid team, and this would be in Del Rio, right? Most likely.
Or it could be neutral site, neutral site. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if they play, they're probably playing Uvalde. I want to put it past that. The one interesting thing about that, the lower half of the bracket, is that Harlingen team's been turning it up, and that second round game, they played. Remember, they played last year. Mm-hmm. Harlingen beat O'Connor in the preseason with preseason games, but then O'Connor kind of returned the favor on them, and this is turning out to the same scenario this year again. And I know I think they've faced each other already once, and I think at that time O'Connor was not really at full strength. I know they had a couple injuries and some players also missing. I think they didn't play in that game. They lost to Harlingen 2-0. So they're both two different teams now. Like I said, O'Connor's really kind of turned it up. They've moved up. So that, Harlingen, they may go in there. I think they'll remember from last year, they probably took them lightly because they thought they throttled them early on and said, we got this. And O'Connor returned the favor. This time around, like I said, I think they'll be more cautious. This game more likely is probably going to be played in the Corpus area, or maybe even Laredo. If I'm O'Connor, I'll play this game in Laredo to stay away from Cavaniss from all that wind. And then Warren, I think Warren should take care of. They'll take care of Del Rio. Like I said, Warren's got very talented. No, but I've watched Warren play, and they got a really good striker, and they got a really good center mid that she really controls a lot. So I think they just have a little too much more than Del Rio.
So moving to the bottom half of the bracket, Buda Johnson, Austin Vandergriff, Steele Madison, Round Rock versus Westlake, Reagan versus Judson. Those are all names there.
Mm-hmm. Is it the football bracket? Was this a Division I 6A playoffs? This is just as tough as the top part. Buda Johnson's been the surprise this year, and I know that District 26 Ben, it's very competitive. It's not solidified yet who's going to win it yet, so that this could change in the next coming weeks, but. That's an interesting game against Vandergriff. Vandergriff's had a good program, but they're struggling. So I think you got to favor Buda Johnson on that. The second now, Steele and Madison, that could be your bracket buster right there. I think Madison's really done well this year. I think they're just in a little tougher district. Not to put down Steele, because Steele's got a great team too, but Madison's kind of plays more.
28
yeah. So
no question.
Yeah, that could be your bracket buster here. Then Round Rock, like I said, they're a regional finals last year. Like I said, they're undefeated. This could be their year to make a run, play in the backyard there. Tough one with Westlake. They can't take them lightly. So that'll be a good game. And then Reagan and Judson. I think Reagan would be favorite over Judson.
And then the bottom half of the bracket, Laredo United. I put Brennan or John Jay because it was still relatively, I think we talked it through and probably leaning Brennan. But looking at it here where there was only a game, went through there. And then Edinburgh North and West Laco. And then TAPPS versus Eagle Pass, which talking to you pre-show, kind of the surprise. So maybe kind of, give a tip of the cap to Eagle Pass. And then Los Fresnos versus Edinburgh Indemnitis for that here. So I know Laredo United had looking at it here, at 11-4-3, 6-1 according to TAPPS, but I don't know how accurate it is for that here. So Eagle Pass 14-11-3, which I know you mentioned good year for that program, which was the surprise.
If the game against United, if it's Brennan, that's a winnable game for Brennan. It's going to be a tough one. I think if it's Jay, you would have to favor Liberty United. But Brennan, like I said, I think United can't take them lightly. I know the United's played well this season. I know they played some tough teams early on. I know Coach Cano mentioned that they played them early on too. That they were a pretty quick team. So, but that'll be a good. I think a United Brennan matchup would be a great game. Wesco Enderburg North. You're probably gonna have to favor Enderburg North on that one. Yeah, the surprise was Eagle Pass, but they're gonna have to face one of the big giants there with Taft, and I think Taft just has a little too much. But it sets up a pretty interesting second round game with I think Los Fresnos, and Los Fresnos, they've become one of the staples of girls soccer down in the valley especially for 6A. That'll be an interesting game. Probably that game maybe in Corpus, unless Taft's willing to flip home and home and bring them over here. That's we'll see. But like I said, I think that's a favorable run for Taft. I think they get to the regional semifinals.
So moving to the boys for 6A, Schertz Clemens 12-8, no 9-0 in district. Steele 6-1-2, New Braunfels 4-3-2. San Marcos 3-5-1's clinched the playoffs. I think this whole side seating has been completed. New Braunfels versus Judson and vice versa. Clemens versus Steele, East Central, San Marcos right here, but it's the seating's done for this one here. Your thoughts on 27?
I had high hopes for Judson at least to get that 4th spot, but that's surprising. They're going to finish dead last, in the district. I kind of expected maybe it was between San Marcos, East Central. I wonder if injuries took a toll on them, because I said they started out well, and like I said, maybe grades or injuries have taken a toll on them. But, kudos. The one thing is you got to give kudos to Clemens. They didn't have the best record. They were 3-8, but they played some tough teams. They didn't shy away from who. And that's when, like I mentioned to you, you got to play the big boys to see where you're at. And, you might not win a few of them, but this got them ready pretty much, to dominate this district. And they're going to be a very dangerous team, especially in that first round game. And they cannot be taken lightly. And like I said, they can hang with the big boys. So I could see Clemens winning maybe that first game, and who knows? Like I said, they can get on a roll. See if they can make a deep run. Steele, like I said, a great season for them too. Like I said, they'll have a good, they'll have a tough matchup, first round game. Braunfels, I know they kind of struggled a little bit early on, but they were able to kind of get it together and get that 3rd spot. And then San Marcos, they're going to have a tough one in the first round. So I think we have an idea who they're going to play.
That'll be on this sheet here, which is 28 boys. Johnson 10-0-3. Brandeis sneaking up the table. When I went through this, I was like, oh, they're in second. 9-2-3. Madison dropped to 3rd this week here, 9-4-1. Reagan 7-2-4. Lee 7-6, and Churchill 6-5-2. Johnson's got Marshall, Lee, and Madison. Brandeis has got Clark and Reagan. Churchill, Roosevelt, Brandeis for Reagan, but to me, the match to watch on here while I was putting this through: Madison, Lee, and Johnson, and then Madison versus Lee, and then Johnson. Lee gets Madison, Johnson, but then gets Churchill. So if you add that win, if Lee gets the win against Churchill, that makes that interesting, because that would put them at 8 wins, which they have the draw over here. So they're at 21
points. Yeah. Reagan, yeah, they're at 25, and then right
They're
now
at
Lee's at
25.
21.
But if
Which is
Lee
about
gets that win at 24, which you'd figure that if it came down to the last week there, they can get that point. That put them at 24. That puts this Lee Madison. If Madison wins, Lee's pretty much gone.
Yeah.
But if Lee gets past Madison, then Reagan could be on then Reagan could be on the outside.
Yeah, Reagan would have to, lose two games.
Churchill, Roosevelt. Okay. Yeah, hold on.
They would have to lose two games. That game, that Churchill game is a tricky one. Remember, Churchill did beat Brandeis.
Oh, and then they got Brandeis, yeah. So then they got Brandeis.
And so that could Reagan needs to take care of business. A tie helps them against Churchill, because it's not a loss, but a loss really makes this interesting because that last game of the season, Brandeis still has a lot to play for because a little slip up, like I say, you see Lee. If Lee's got to have to run the table. They got to have to win out. If they're going to make the playoffs, they have to win out. And if they get and some help too. So but Brandeis, they got a lot to play for. The interesting thing is if Lee beats Johnson next week, that, and then you see Lee Johnson has that Madison game. Madison might be kind of like trying to hold on, to get into that second spot or that, maintain their third spot. But that opens the door. Like a Lee win over Johnson opens the door for Brandeis to get that district title. And it's like I said, now every game pretty much counts. There's really no games like, hey, you can kind of take the day off. But like I said, Lee has to run the table. I think if Reagan can win one, it pretty much, they'll stay. They're pretty much that would probably eliminate Lee. But so they have to.
I had Madison. This is why I had Madison circled, because if Madison loses these two matches against Lee and Johnson, and Lee gets two wins, then they need that draw.
Yeah, because they would, if like I say, if Madison finishes out, because right now they're at 20. They're at 28. If Madison loses out and Lee wins all three, that'll take Lee to 30 points.
Correct. So they just trying to figure out why I had it circled and I'm thinking Reagan, but no, it's Madison because they got the two tough matches. If they lose, they could be 9-6-1. Lee, if they get by Madison, so that'd give them win 8. Get by Churchill, that'd give them win 9. Then that puts that match against Johnson, where if they can even get a draw or a win, then that puts them in contention. Now,
like Reagan,
that Johnson match is in the middle.
Yeah, Reagan, like I said, they cannot fall asleep against Churchill. If they lose that game, that opens the door for Lee if they run the table. If they get a win over Madison, that like I said, that is going to make things very interesting because in Brandeis they're going to probably want to win that game, and especially if Lee can beat Johnson, that opens the door for that title. So it's gonna, like I say, it's nitty gritty. It's going to come down to the last couple of games. So every game counts.
It's the toughest division. So
yeah.
So moving to District 29 for the boys, Harlan 12-0-2 in district, John Jay 10-2-1, Brennan 9-2-2, Warren 8-5-1, TAPPS 6-6-1, O'Connor, Stephen Sotomayor Holmes. Looking at the schedule here, TAPPS got Holmes, John Jay, and Harlan. O'Connor, Stephen Sotomayor Holmes, Brennan Sotomayor Holmes, John Jay, and Warren's got Stevens and Sotomayor. So for Taft, as much as I want to try to, give them, I have the wrong order on that. But for Taft, it's going to be hard seeing them getting past Warren at all. Now, the question is can Brennan get past John Jay? Brennan's, and that's where that last match. That's where that last match, John Jay and Brennan. I think it's on the 19th, if memory serves me correct. I know it's the 19th or 20th. That one could be the one to watch to see who gets that second slot where you get the home field advantage or not.
Well, the interesting thing here is that if Jay beats Harlan, like I said, Harlan right now they're at 38 points, and Jay's at 31. If they can get a win, that makes them 4 points behind. And then with Harlan, they would have to literally win one more.
Harlan hasn't lost in 2 years.
Well, this could be it.
I'm just
Jay, Jay's going to be motivated, and they know they're mathematically still within striking distance.
Yes.
And like I said, if they can get a win tomorrow, anything can happen in the last games. But if you notice Jay's schedule, if you go on the front, like I said, Jay should take care of TAPPS.
Tough road out.
Yeah. But that last game against Brennan could mean a lot, especially Brennan trying to maybe leapfrog them. But even Harlan, their schedule, now is not the time to take the foot off the gas, And like I said, that's TAPPS gone surprise the team. Remember, TAPPS did beat Brennan, and that game could come into play if they lose to John Jay tomorrow. So this is also coming down to, but I think these are your four, pretty much.
Those are your four
for
teams.
The boys. Yeah, those are your four teams, and if, like I said, with the playoffs started, we have kind of an idea who they're going to play with against.
And to be honest with you, I think this is how the order finishes out. No offense, but that's how I see it finishing out here. So moving over to the bracketology through here. Johnson, San Marcos, Cedar Park, Vista Ridge, DeValley, Schertz, Clemens, Reagan, and then Austin, Westlake, and Round Rock. So Johnson, getting San Marcos probably not the toughest first round match, but Cedar Park and DeValley, at least the last couple of years, maybe not the gaudiest records.
Yeah,
solid programs that are a tough outcome playoff season.
Yeah, I think, like I said, Johnson should win their first two matches. I think they should take care of San Marcos. Yeah, Del Valle and Cedar Park. I think those are two even teams, dangerous teams. But Johnson should take care of them. If you look at the bottom, that Clemens Reagan is going to be very interesting, and the way Clemens has been playing, we'll see what can happen there. And then you have Westlake and Round Rock. That's a fairly evenly. Don't let that record fool you for Round Rock. They're going to give Westlake a game, and we could end up probably seeing Clemens and Westlake in that second round game. And then we head down to the Valley.
So Brownsville Rivera, 32. John Jay, Laredo. Edinburgh North was the only real solid one. Then Brownsville or Anna, or San Benito from the final slot. Laredo, Alexander, and then Brennan. But the final slot in 31, like none of them had any wins, and I was just like, okay. So it could be anywhere from Edinburgh Ecumenias, Edinburgh High, or La Jolla High. So
and that's going to be a loss for them because they're not going to be Brownsville Rivera.
So,
but then that sets up an interesting game. That Jay, if Jay plays United South, that's going to be a good game. I've seen United South play. They can touch.
Jay's good.
Yeah, this will be a fun game to watch. Like I said, I got the pleasure to see United South play. They have a really good forward. They can touch the ball. They got some good speed. The one thing what they do have as a far advantage is they do go to penalty kicks after a tie in regulation for their district games. So if it goes to that, they'll have the advantage on that. Edinburgh North should take care of Brownsville, Hannah, San Benito. Hannah's really struggling this year. The other game, Brennan may have some. I think Brennan may have some trouble with Laredo Alexander. Laredo Alexander's been a regional semifinals the last few years. That's a tough matchup for them. Winnable game, yes, but they cannot take them lightly. And then, what do you say, Austin Bowie? Austin Bowie's been turning it up, but you know what happened?
So
So
Austin Bowie either going against Round Rock Stony Point or Austin McNeil. Their records were identical. Steele, Madison, Vandergrift versus either Lake Travis or Austin Atkins because it's too close to Atkins. And then Brandeis and New Braunfels for the top half of that bracket there. So a couple of matches that are, especially in 25, 26 for that final slot, too close to call. And like I said, obviously I'm not up in Austin, so I can't, pick a favorite or, lean one way or another without digging into it.
But if you remember last year Bowie was the favorite, and then Round Rock Stony Point knocked him off. So could we have part 2 again this year? And then Madison, I think Madison versus Steele. That's an interesting matchup. That should be a fun one to watch. That can go either way. Vandergrift versus Aikens or Lake Travis. Travis has been struggling too. But still, that's going to be a real physical, tough game. I think Brandeis and New Braunfels, that's also an interesting matchup. I think, but Brandeis will be a favorite for that one.
And then the bottom half, Laredo United versus Warren, who we picked to finish 4th in the 29. Second for 31, Enberg, Indemias, Enberg High, or La Jolla. Second, third, or fourth, it's going to be one of these teams, but their records were too identical to be able to pick. Harlan versus either Del Rio or Laredo LBJ. And then Harlingen, is set for 32. But I know it's kind of unfair with the 31. Unfortunately, I didn't. I'm not going to go through all the tiebreakers and try to pick. I'm like, okay, we're 2 weeks out. This is what it's looking like, for here, just to kind of set the expectations here. Your thoughts on the bottom half, Laredo United and everybody else, because I know you're big on Laredo and Brownsville teams for that here, or do you think Harlan can
Harlingen?
Well, no, Harlan.
Nah, I think Harlan, yeah. Well, United and Warren, that'll be a tough game for United. Like I said, I've seen Warren play. They got some talent. They can really push the ball up. That I can see that game going to really tight, extra time, depending where they play at. And but United, one thing about United, they've really kind of turned the leaf. They struggled early on, and now they've really kind of taken control of District 36A. The Enderberg schools, we'll see what happens out of that mess. Harlan, I think more than likely he's going to play. I think Del Rio. I know LBJ is really struggling this year, which is odd because normally LBJ is one of the better programs. They're probably in Laredo, so I can see Harlan maybe like as a Harlan Del Rio matchup. Harlan would probably be fair for that, and then that second round game, Harlan versus Los Fresnos. That could be a trap game there. And Los Fresnos, they've been some good teams. Like I said, they gave Southwest a good test this year. So, like I said, is it a cakewalk for Harlan? No, they're gonna have to beat a couple good teams from that area to get to that regional semifinal.
And just to kind of give kind of a baseline here, so Indominias, according to Max Preps, is 9-9-1, 4-3. La Jolla's 8-6-4, 4-3, and Edinburgh is 5-8-1, but 3-3. In district for that here in Edinburgh North was 6-1, 10-5. So that's why for me, and then Far, San Juan, Alamo was 2-5. So that's why I didn't really add them for it here. But trying to finish the second, third, or fourth out of 31. It's flip a coin just based on the information because there was no dominant record from any of them to be able to make that determination. So, Switching back over here. So moving to 5A, Piper, and then everybody else. Smithson Valley. Sorry, I doubted you, Smithson Valley. Kerrville Tivy 7-5-1. Bernie Champion 6-4-3. Canyon Cougars 6-5-2. So one loss and a draw is the difference between being in the playoffs and being out. And don't sleep on Veterans Memorial 5-6-2 as well. So just a shade out, but they've only got one match left. Smithson Valley Piper, so 1-2. Kerrville gets Veterans Memorial, Bernie Champion gets Seguin, and Canyon gets Wagner. So as much as it's only one game out, unfortunately, I think that this is how it's going to finish, with Canyon just on the outside by a half a game.
Yeah, and maybe if Bernie gets a win, so they're 18-21. Yeah, they're only a point behind Kerrville. Kerrville's got a tough one with Veterans Memorial. Veterans Memorial could be a spoiler here, and they can end up pushing them to the fourth spot. And so they got it. Like I said, a tie or win pretty much seals the third spot. And Piper, like I said, that'll be a good matchup. I know they want to finish just undefeated for the district title, but I think Smithson Valley wants. I think if they can get a win here, it's some good momentum going into the first round of the playoffs.
But to me, Veterans Memorial, I know they're going to come up a little bit short, but if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that they would have had a shot to be 6-6-2 in district, I'm not sure how many of us would have took that bet.
Yeah. Kudos to them. Like I said, they got a couple of big wins, and that's something they can build upon for next year.
And then moving over to 27, Alamo Heights, 18-2, 12-1. MacArthur, 12-1, 15-5. And then somebody's getting left home. Lanier 8-5, Jefferson 8-6, Edison 8-6, and then Brackenridge Burbank. Lanier's got Brackenridge, Sam Houston, Edison. Jefferson's got Sam Houston, Edison, and Edison controls their destiny. They get Jefferson and Lanier, so if they win both, they move up. You got to figure, Lanier, having Brackenridge and Sam Houston probably helps push them to a safety zone. But this Edison Jefferson match, winning in,
I think this one that's probably your elimination game.
There's no draws. There's no draws.
Yeah.
So
they go to PKs. So
they go to PKs. It's winning in on that one.
Yeah, Edison needs to win this one, and if they win that one, they pretty much eliminate Jefferson. And now if they win over Lanier, they have an opportunity to go from 5 to 3. Yep. So Jefferson, they're they need to get a win here. So if not, they're gonna be go fishing at Canyon Lake, or they're at Calaveras Lake
But even if they
April.
get the win against Sam Houston,
yeah,
they have to get that win against. They have to get that win. Well, I guess technically that's not true, because if it's an overtime win or a PK win, you get 2 points as opposed to a full 3. And we'd have to go through and see what the actual
the point system
points are for that here to be able to kind of make that final determination to see if they're how many overtime wins or overtime losses they have, because they may have extra points build up and a loss. But to me that match really, if you're going to go watch a game, MacArthur Alamo Heights is one to watch, and that one kicks off, I want to say 9 a.m. if memory serves me correct.
Go break out your breakfast tacos for that.
And then
whoever scheduled that, I'm sorry, so make sure you're not.
And his girls got the 11 o'clock.
So make sure for the boys, make sure you sleep in early. Get your get your par bar, and be ready to go. That's gonna be a fun game because remember, MacArthur did beat Alamo Heights in the first, and they beat them soundly too, even though they got to go at the end, which was a PK. But Alamo Heights is gonna be looking for some revenge here. But if MacArthur wins this game, that pretty much seals the deal for them winning, getting the district title.
But to me, like I said here, the March 11th, next Monday, really is going to win this district, get settled, for that. 28 Southwest 11-0 Legacy. Southwest Legacy 7-2-2. Harlandale 8-3. I know by points Harlandale is in second, but how everybody had them listed in the standings was third, so I'm not sure why, but I went
because of the losses, I think.
And then Medina Valley 7-3-1 for that here, and then so the four are set. Southwest is set, but the order between 2, 3, and I guess you could even throw in Medina Valley in fourth for that here. So Southwest has got Medina Valley win, and then Southwest. So 2 tough matches, and then a long road trip. Harlandale's got win at home, Southwest and McCollum. McCollum and Harlandale's always a rival match. And the Medina Valley, Southwest, South side, which you mentioned is kind of tricky.
Yeah, the tricky game there.
And then win.
CCC.
But so to me, looking at the schedule, Medina Valley is actually in a pretty good position if they, especially if they get a win against, Legacy, on the 8th, because that put them 8-3-1, and that would put them 7-3-2, for that here along those lines. And I think, there's, these are the records that are on my SanAntonio Max Prep. So
yeah,
if the games don't match up,
yeah, because if you look at Medina Valley, they're at 22 points, and then the other two are at 24. So they're only like I said, a game behind. Right. And like I said, Legacy's kind of got the tougher route. Medina Valley, not so much. But if Southwest can beat Medina Valley, that'll probably kind of hamper Medina Valley to moving up to that second spot. They may still have a shot to get the third. But Harlandale's, they got 2 winnable games.
Yes.
The tough one's going to be the one at Southwest. But Legacy's kind of, they have the tougher, games. They're at Medina Valley, which is tough to play. At CC Win, that's not going to be a cakewalk there. That could be a trap game for them because they have to drive all the way to the border there. And who knows what the weather's like, too. If it's a hot day, you can get, like I said, last week it was in the 90s. So, and then the last one, but no, go ahead.
But yeah, to me, and I guess here's my question to you, because excuse me, I grew up in the country, so I'm used to for school. We used to travel. But here in SanAntonio, there's not a lot of long travel. It's what, 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours to Eagle Pass.
Eagle Pass, yeah.
For that here, I made that drive and donated some money a couple of times, so that's how I know for that here. You think that kind of matters, for SanAntonio schools at all, or no? Because it's not like they do it often.
It can come into play, like I said, because the teams are used to that, have a routine. I remember when I coached, pretty much when we're in district play, every Saturday we came here to SanAntonio to play one of the Northside teams. And they for them, they only came once to our place, but it was on a Tuesday night. So for us, it wasn't too much on us, but I think for them, because they don't get to travel as much, they don't know how to really kind of prepare for that. And I know, like, there was like a span that we didn't lose like 3 straight years. We didn't lose a game at home, and that comes down to just knowing being a bunch of road warriors. Yeah, like Steve said, it feels more difficult there for playing in Eagle Pass. So like I said, Legacy, like I said, think if they can, like I said, beat Medina Valley, that puts them in good shape. That last game for them, that their little Clásico there, they always play Southwest tough. And I think Southwest pulled out like a late 2-0 win. So this time they get them at their place. We'll see how this goes. But I don't know for the Southwest, they got to maintain momentum. I think they got to close the district out, win out, because the next level of play is with the playoffs. It's going to mean a lot. It's going to determine how far they can go.
So looking at 5A here, so you got Southwest against either Lanier, Jefferson, or Edison, because who knows how that's going to shake out. Leander Rouse against Kerrville Tivy. I put Alamo Heights because I do think they're favored over MacArthur. And sorry, Coach, for making that decision here, but I flipped the coin. Against Medina Valley, although that could change as we're just talking about here. And then Smithson Valley and Liberty Hill. Great football matchup for that one there.
Yeah, they played the slot T there. So
Medina, if it is Medina Valley in the 4th slot, does that give Alamo Heights any problem?
It'll be a tough game, but you still got to give the edge to Alamo Heights. The interesting part is the game. I think Southwest will win their first round game, but if they run into Leander Rouse, and remember Leander Rouse made it to the regional final last year, and they lost to Sherryland, yes. And Sherryland's the one that knocked out Southwest. I know Leander Rouse. I think they're like I said, they're going to be the runner up this year. I know they lost some couple key players, but they're still a tough team, and that will be a tough matchup there for Southwest. Alamo Heights, I think they match up well with Smithson Valley, but keep an eye on Liberty Hill. Liberty Hill is a tricky team. That game versus them and Smithson Valley, I think that's an evenly matched game. Yeah. The coach said that's going to be a tough match for the Alamo Heights or Mac against Medina Valley. Medina Valley's got a good players, and they coach, the coach over there, Medina Valley's got them playing well. I know they struggled a little bit, but they're still a very dangerous team. But yeah, that Smithson Valley Liberty Hill game, that's going to be. I think that's even a match game, but I think that if Alamo Heights does go through or Mac, I think that'll be a good game for them for the second round. Yeah, they have some ballers on that team.
And I'll preface this. I still think there's going to be a lot of movement to where some of the matchups that are happening here today, there's going to be some shuffling. Like Lanier's, Jefferson, and Edison, you couldn't pick. They were just too identical. But Liberty Hill, when I was looking at 25, there was still some movement. Because you look 8-3-2, 7-3-3. There could still be some movements in 25, and through here. So this is just as we mentioned, this is just kind of a snapshot where it's at today. And like for some that were just too close to call, or as we get to the bottom half of the bracket, funny district settings. So 32.
Like Leander Rouse, they have a tough game against Cedar Park coming up, and I'm kind of looking at their schedule. So that's actually their last game of the season against Cedar Park. So, okay. And then Liberty Hill, they did beat Liberty Hill twice, so they have the tiebreaker over them. Liberty Hill, they finish off, this weekend against. Well, they got Leander Glen, which we'll talk about them in a bit. So.
But I just like kind of, because I know there's a lot of people watching, just kind of set that expectation. This is just a snapshot of what it is today, and we're 2 weeks out, so why not take a look and see where we're at. Bottom half, Brownsville Lopez, Sherryland Pioneer, 29, and this is where it's a little bit tricky. Victoria West or Flower Bluff are playing kind of a district playoff to determine the number 1 seed for the district, and the loser gets number 2. And then, for 31.
Yeah, they're doing the BCS playing games.
The 29. Yeah, the 29. And then at the bottom half, Laredo Martin versus either Veterans Memorial or Gregory Portland. along those lines, and Sharyland High versus Brownsville Veterans or Mercedes, because that was too close to call here. But I know you're a lot more familiar with the bottom half and the trickiness of District 29 along those lines here. Brownsville and Sharyland seem to be very popular in this.
Well, remember, Sharyland made it to the state semifinals. They knocked off, like I said, they knocked off Southwest, and they knocked off Leander Rouse. And I know they're probably the favorite in that bracket, but keep an eye on Brownsville Lopez. They've had a great season. I think those two are in the collision course. Now, Sharyland can't. If they do play Vernon Memorial for Brownsville, they cannot take them lightly. That could be a tough one for them. Loretta Morton, I think they could probably match up with Gregory Portland, but I think if they run into Vernon Memorial, I think Vernon Memorial will win that one. But I do see maybe a Brownsville Lopez Sharyland quarterfinal game. I don't think Flower Bluff, Victoria West, or next one can knock off Lopez.
And just looking at the standings, I do think Veterans Memorial would be the favorite to beat, because these two are going to play head to head. And I believe, if I understood you correctly, the winner gets to continue with the season. The loser goes home. Unlike Victoria West or Flower Bluff, where one finishes 1 and one finishes 2, along those lines here, because they do a north and south for that here. Bottom half, Piper versus Cedar Park, MacArthur, Harlan for that here. Leander Glen, he mentioned his favorite. Bernie Champion or Comal Canyon. It's going to be Bernie Champion after we further discussed it, but it was only a game apart with 1 game left. So I still listed Canyon on there, but I think we're both in agreement it's going to be probably Champion. And then Southwest Legacy right now is in that second slot. But getting, the Lanier, Jefferson, or Edison, because there's 2 of those 3 that'll make it along those lines here. Your thoughts on this here, that Leander Glen and Piper heading for the matchup in the Sweet 16?
Well, if you look at the game with Piper and Cedar Park, that's actually going to be a rematch of a game earlier this season. And I actually got to see that game. And Cedar Park, very physical team, but Piper was able to kind of get it together. I know me and Steve we watched that game, and Piper ended up taking full control towards the end. So, if they do match up again, Cedar Park is going to be well prepared for them, but I think Piper still get by. I think MacArthur should take care of Harlandale, and that's going to be a great, interesting game.
That's a tricky one, though.
No, MacArthur, like I said, seeing MacArthur play, the boys, this is a very special team. What I saw, the few games they've done, they got some pedigree on their play. They're coached well, and they're focused. And this, like I said, they should and they've played a lot tougher schedule than Harlandale has. And like I said, should be fair for that game. But you never know; that could end up being Alamo Heights versus Harlandale.
Correct.
So it can go either way. But a MacArthur Piper game, that's going to be a good one. That'll be a really good game there. But then you look at the bottom,
or a Piper Alamo Heights.
Yeah, Piper Alamo Heights. Oh, that'd be another one, a good one too. But then you have Leander Glen, and Leander Glen's
been on Leander Glen for a long.
They've been even though that one little tie blemish, but they've been. Like I said, they're one of the best teams there from the Austin area. The only tie they had this season was actually against Leander High, which was surprising. It was 0-0, but some good wins, some tight wins too. They played actually Leander Ross twice and 2 1-goal wins over them. They do play Liberty Hill, like I said, tomorrow. Should be a tough one. They do have a warm-up game against Georgetown Eastview on the 20th. So, maybe time for one of these teams to scout them to see what they have. But I could see maybe a Piper Glen. That'll be a fun game to watch.
Bottom half, La Jolla Wars Lincoln. Always a team that typically goes deep. Victoria West or Corpus Christi Carroll or Corpus Christi Moody. It's going to be Victoria West. They should win that matchup convincingly between either one of these teams. They went to they had to go to alternative tiebreakers, I guess, based on what we were reading.
They're gonna flip the coin or something.
Or did you say they had to play?
They're gonna play a game, and then whoever wins that game goes on to the next game for the other playing.
Victoria West. Yeah.
So basically, it's like that. The Final Four, the NCAA, they have that playing game to play the number 1 seed. So.
San Juan Alamo North versus Brownsville Porter. Record-wise, that seems very interesting.
Yeah, but it's
Victoria
Porter.
West or CC Bluff.
Flower Bluff
wins that. Flower Bluff against Palmview, which historically has been good, but looking at the record, maybe not as solid this year. Donna North and Alamo PSJA Memorial. This one, looking at the brackets from looking at the standings, looks to be pretty competitive with the teams from the Valley. Especially Donna North and Memorial North versus Porter. I'm going to enjoy watching you and Steve pick those.
I think this one, Porter will knock off PSJ North. The Juarez Lincoln Porter match, that's going to be a good game, but I still favor Porter. They're just in a tougher district than 31 or than 30. No, it's a 30 or 31. Yeah, 31.
29 plays 30.
Yeah, so they, like I said, Juarez Lincoln, they've had a good program, but they're not I don't think they're at the same pedigree as Porter. Good luck to Victoria West or Flower Bluff against Donna North. That they've been the surprise of the Valley this year, and I think they might be still in contention for the district title. I know they're a game behind Lopez, so that could flip flop. But we could see maybe a rematch of Porter versus Donna North in that quarterfinal game.
So moving back to the ladies for 26 here. Piper 11-2, Smithson Valley 10-1-2, Bernie Champion 9-3, Canyon Cougarettes 9-3. So the 4 that are going to make the playoffs are there. The seeding is what's still to be determined. And look what we got here: Piper, Smithson Valley, and then Bernie Champion and Canyon probably they should get the wins for there. So I'm not sure how they're going to split those two up.
You have Piper at 33, and then you have Smithson Valley at 32, and then the other two they're at 27, 28. So the most records, So the most Champion most of Champion and Canyon can get is 31. So they can't. So that really they're probably much going to stay there. But you have a district
who gets 3, who gets 4, because that could matter, right?
But if you look at who they're playing, let's see if you could put the screen on the games.
So Seguin and White, they got 2 Ws.
Those are 2 Ws, and that's not going to change.
Finish 10-3-1. So the question is who gets. And
more likely,
I go in through the tiebreakers to see how they finished head to head, because I think that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, and I think Bernie Champion may be the one that has I believe the tiebreaker over Canyon. The interesting one is the one tomorrow night for the district title between Piper and
Smithson Valley.
If you I'm looking over here, they actually Canyon beat them twice, beat Champion twice, so could have Canyon the tiebreaker.
Well, so it'll be Canyon 3. Here, let me see if I can make that adjustment.
Yeah, because the 3 losses they have is the 2 against Canyon. They did tie Smithson Valley.
Well, I actually had that updated on the
loss to Piper. Yeah. So,
but Piper, Smithson Valley. You give anybody a You give a favor with it being at Smithson Valley? Does that change?
Yeah, you have to, and then also with Coach Akins, they've won the district the last 2 years, so they're not gonna relinquish this. This is our opportunity to get that the third championship. Last year, remember this game last year was also for the district title. The Piper fell short, so I think that's probably in the back of their mind. Can they get it done? They know a draw here pretty much gets them the title, but a loss here will get Simpson Valley the district title. So this is going to be a great game, and so you have a chance to go check it out.
Moving on to Alamo Heights, District 27. Alamo Heights 13-0, MacArthur 12-1. Jefferson, Edison, pardon me, 9-4, 9-5. Big one here, Alamo Heights, MacArthur, 11 a.m. For their Jefferson gets Edison also on that same day to be able to kind of determine through there. Jefferson does get Sam Houston, and then Edison gets Lanier to finish up. So you figure really whoever wins that match between Jefferson and Edison will get the third slot and the fourth slot. Same really for Alamo Heights, right? If Alamo Heights wins or draws, they get the title. But if MacArthur pulls it off, they would be split for that here, which then Burbank and Highlands and Brackenridge.
I think Mac's got to win in regulation, because I think if they go to penalty kicks and even if Mac wins, I think there'll be a game.
Because of the 2-1 points. Yeah.
So they would have to win. Like I said, and I was at that game, and Alamo Heights dominated the first half, but that second half
dominated the second half.
That second half, and and there was a couple. One of the PKs towards the end of the first half that was questionable. I know Steve was there with me. If that wasn't called, who knows what could have been the result on there. But I know it's going to be Alamo Heights. They're going to be fired up, and like I said, Coach Connor's going to have them ready to go too. They're not going to just roll over. It's going to be a fun game, and who knows? And like I said, anything can happen, especially at an 11 a.m. game. So whoever has whoever ate their Wheaties is going to be ready to go. But and as far as the other, I think pretty much Jeff and Edison's kind of clinched that. I don't think Highlands is going to catch up.
No, they can't.
But Jeff and Edison do play, so they could flip flop as far as seeding. So we'll find out towards the end of the week.
So this one here, Southwest 10-1, Medina Valley 10-1, McCollum 6-4-1. So I think they're fairly solid with where they're at. Legacy and Southside 4-4-3 for that here. So looking at here, Southwest gets South San, Harlandale, and Southwest Legacy. Medina Valley gets Southwest Legacy, Southside a win. McCollum gets Southside, South San, Harlandale. Legacy probably has the tougher draw, right, with Medina Valley and Southwest, where Southside has McCollum, Medina Valley, and South San. So slight edge to Southside sneaking in.
No, it's Legacy.
You still give Legacy, even though they go
Medina if you look,
Valley and South.
McCollum's going to take care of Southside. And then Medina Valley is going to take care of Southside. Now, the one thing is on there, if you look at the schedule there, Legacy, they just really, it could come down to they're going to win at CC Win, and I know Southside will beat South San. They may end up playing like a one-game playoff, because they may end up having two. Both of them may end up going 1-2.
Right, because 1 and 2. Because I don't see Southwest beating Medina Valley or Southwest because they're both trying to get number one, or at least have a co-division. Southside has McCollum, which I think looking at there's a more likely chance for Southside to beat McCollum than Legacy.
McCollum. Like I said, they got a really good striker I don't think that Southside has any mark on her. So if you go to, I'm kind of looking here. Oh, they don't show who they play as far as see. I'm just trying to get something here. Okay, Southwest Legacy. So I'm trying to figure out who, as far as the season series, basically the season series between both of them. They don't have scores listed on her. So shame on both Bax Preps and so that Legacy did win the first game on February the 2nd, 2-1. But they did recently face on the 27th, but no score was reported. So we don't know if they're tied in the season series, they would probably end up playing a playoff unless they go to goal differential. But if Legacy did win the season series, even though they remain tied on the records, they'll probably more likely advance. Now, the one thing here, if you look at Southwest and Medina Valley, if they went out, they're probably going to end up playing for the number one seeding. So you have
Medina Valley
a seeding game. For Medina Valley and Southwest, you could probably end up seeing a seeding game. So they're gonna end up both of them at 13-1. So they probably play who gets the number one seed. They're gonna share the district title, but they're gonna probably play who gets to get the number one seed.
Which matters, as we're gonna find out here.
Yeah.
Which I gave it to Southwest because they've been first for that here, but this is need to put Southwest Legacy. The Southwest wouldn't be twice. So you got Southwest or Medina Valley against Edison. Leander Rouse and Canyon, Alamo Heights, or MacArthur, depending on how it rolls out. But right now, Alamo Heights versus either Legacy or Southside. And then Smithson Valley and Cedar Park. That one seems like a pretty juicy match for Rafa.
Tough one, yeah.
Moving to the bottom half here, you got Harlingen South and Sherryland, Gregory Portner or Flower Bluff, whereas Lincoln, McAllen Memorial, Brownsville Porter, Palmview, or Veterans Memorial or Corpus Christi Ray for that here. So for 5A girls, your thoughts?
Well, if you look in the Valley, if you look at the top half, if you can skip back up really quick, you have Southwest, winnable game against Edison, but they're gonna have a tough matchup. More likely, I think they may face Leander Rouse, but like I said, don't count out Canyon. Canyon's got a great team. That can go either way. I'm sure Rouse will probably be maybe the favorite, but Southwest is going to draw a really tough second round game. And then Alamo Heights, should have no problem with Legacy or Southside, but that is going to make an interesting game there. Yeah, I think Smithson Valley can pull that one out against Cedar Park. It's going to be a grind. But that second round game, Alamo Heights and Smithson Valley, a little preview for next year's district games. So for the new group of death. So that should be a really fun game, and for the area around. And then if you look at the bottom, more like at the bottom at the quarterfinal, it's going to be McAllen Memorial versus Harlingen South. But McAllen Memorial, they've been turning it up. They may end up more like you're going to probably end up seeing them in the regional semifinal.
Moving to the bottom half, Piper, Liberty Hill, MacArthur, McCollum, Leander versus Bernie Champion, and then Medina Valley and Jefferson, and the bottom half, Mission Veterans Memorial and either Victoria West or Corpus Christi King, McAllen versus Brownsville Veterans Memorial, Gregory Portland or Flower Bluff because they have the playoff, Laredo Martin or Ed Couch Elsa, and Edinburgh Vela right here. But back up to the top for you.
Yeah, if Piper does win, or like I said, it could also be Simpson Valley. Well, it depends who wins tomorrow. That's still a little tough. That's a tough matchup still. Liberty Hill, they got a good squad. They're in like I said, 25-5A is also a tough district. So that'll be one that they can't take lightly. MacArthur, McCollum, that should be a really fun game. You got to give if MacArthur kind of contain McCollum's
Striker.
Attacking mid striker. I think it's a winnable game. Leander at Bernie Champion. This could be your, like last year, your upset special, which I think that this happened. It did happen last year. I think it was Bernie Champion that knocked them off. And I'm sure Leander High, they've been one of the favorites in the Austin area, and they were expected to go deep last year. This could be like the rematch here, and I'm sure they would love to have this game again. And then Medina Valley, Jeff, I think you got to favor Medina Valley on that one. But you could end up seeing maybe a Leander Piper. Technically we could probably say Leander versus Piper in the quarterfinals.
And then down south, Veterans Memorial. It's going to be the inverse. Well, I guess Brownsville, Veterans Memorial, and McAllen.
I could see an upset there. If Victoria West wins, they could. That'll be a tough matchup for Veterans Memorial. Their mission. That could be one of your upset specials there.
And just to be fair, Victoria West and what's the other one? Veterans Memorial, CC Ray. These could flip depending on how. Yeah. I'm assuming depending on the results, who gets 3 or who gets 4. So this was just kind of an estimation for that here. Elsa and Vela, any interesting tidbits with those two schools? I know Edinburgh Vela I've heard of. I haven't heard a lot of Elsa, but that just could be me.
Ed Couch. Yeah, that can go either way. That's an evenly matched game. If you look at the game on top, whether it's Gregory Portland or Flower Bluff, they should take care of Laredo Martin. That one you probably could see, like McAllen's probably going to be the favorite out of that. So I could see a McAllen versus Gregory Portland or Flower Bluff in the quarterfinal. And I think McAllen I think gets up to the regional semifinal.
So moving on to 4A here, 26 girls, Davenport, Bernie, Wimberley, and Canyon Lake. I'm pretty sure is going to finish in 4th, but good luck deciding who's going to finish in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. Davenport's got Fredericksburg and then at Canyon Lake. Bernie's got at Canyon Lake, Wimberley. Wimberley's got Bandera, Bernie. Canyon Lake's got Bernie, Davenport. I'm pretty confident that Canyon Lake finishes 4th, but Bernie favored to get to the top spot, even though they may have the toughest seed, or do you give Wimberley a chance? Because they do get Bandera, which should be a W, and I know Fredericksburg for Davenport should be a W, and then they get Canyon Lake for that here. But how do you see this one shaking out?
I mean, they've gotten some teams. Canyon Lake, like I said, they'll probably end up maybe that 4th spot, but the top spot, it can lean either way. It's going to be the team who actually wins out. The one that wins out is going to win the district title. And now it favors let's see if you look at here.
I think it favors
Davenport, you probably have, it probably favors Davenport. And, the only thing is Davenport does have the tiebreaker over Bernie because, like I said, they have a win and a tie over them. But remember, Canyon Lake beat Davenport. And so that could be
at Canyon Lake.
Yeah, it's at Canyon Lake too. So that could be a game, very interesting game. I think Bernie will win against. It'll be a tough one against Canyon Lake, but I think they can win that one. But then they got a tough one. They're at Wimberley, and remember I think they tied the first time. So Bernie, for them, they have to definitely win out. Same thing with Wimberley. If they can win out.
Here's how I see this playing out, because you've got this 11-day break. Davenport gets the win against Fredericksburg. Wimberley gets the win against Bandera. I don't really think that's much in doubt. I still think Bernie, even though they're on the road, should get the win against Canyon Lake, right?
Canyon Lake.
I think most of us would still favor Bernie over that. So then you're going to have still a 3-team race where Bernie Wimberley, it's at Wimberley, and then you got Davenport against Canyon Lake.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I still kind of favor Davenport, and especially if Davenport and Bernie wins. You mentioned Davenport still gets the title.
They'll get the number one seed. They'll share the district title, but they'll get the number 1 seed.
But if Wimberley gets the win, I'm wondering, who gets the tiebreaker between them and Davenport. I'm assuming it's probably Davenport, but I guess I could be wrong because Wimberley's. I'd have to go through, but this one here, it's a little bit late. I don't want to have to go into it that deep.
Yeah.
To me, like I said, when I've done it here, I've got all three of them listed because I didn't, good luck. It'll be this day where this title will be decided. Moving to 27, Lavernia 9-0, Gonzales 6-2-1, Kennedy 5-3-1, Yoakum 4-3-3. Young Women still 3-4-2, but I think just from what I've seen or what I've been reading here, I probably favor the top four through here. Lavernia does get Gonzales and then Kennedy and Yoakum for that here. Gonzales has Lavernia Young Women's Memorial. Kennedy has Fox Tech, Lavernia Young Women's, and then Yoakum has Fox Tech and Lavernia. But from young women's, they can play their way in. They do get Memorial. Mm-hmm. They do travel to Gonzales, but they do get Kennedy. So I figure they should get the win against Memorial. But if they could get the wins against Kennedy and Gonzales, which to me is a big order to ask. Yeah, they could play their way in because Yoakum does have that match against Lavernia, which is undefeated in the district.
Yeah, and I was actually at the Kennedy Yoakum game on Tuesday, and like I said, Kennedy got some revenge. Won the second game with the 3-0 win. So they actually ended up leapfrogging them to the third spot. So Yoakum's in a sticky situation. But same thing with women's leadership. But I think more than likely Yoakum's going to end up getting that fourth spot. And like I said, Lavernia should win the district title.
Yeah.
So what you
see?
Well,
they've already won the district title. Well, yeah. I guess technically they have. Well,
they haven't yet, but they one win. I think
I don't foresee it. 28 for Pleasanton, or District 28 for the girls. Pleasanton 8-0-2. The Lobos from Uvalde 7-1-1. They are always sneaky at the title. Because I was looking at the record last year, they only had one loss in district as well, and they're on pace to match that. Floresville a little bit disappointing again for the second year in a row, 7-3-1, and I know that's kind of tough to say, but I know you kind of predicted them to be more up with the Pleasanton Uvalde, and then Somerset and Hondo. Like I said here, I think we favored Somerset to get this here. Mm-hmm. Pleasanton has Somerset and Poteet. Uvalde has Hondo, Pearsall, Floresville. So that could be kind of a tricky match for them. Floresville has Hondo and Uvalde. Somerset, Pleasanton, and Pearsall. So to me, like I said here, it's Pleasanton should
has
be
the
able to
inside
hold
track.
off.
Yeah, they have the inside track in winning the district title. Unless Somerset pulls off the upset, then that changes things, and that allows Uvalde to win it. Floresville is pretty much going to be your third seed, and it's going to come down to Somerset and Hondo. Hondo's got the tougher task. They got Uvalde, Floresville.
Yes.
You know, Somerset, they have a tough one with Pleasanton, but like I said, they got to win. They got a winnable game on the night. Yeah, Pearsall, and that'll get them in.
Yeah. So moving over to the ladies here on bracketology for 4A. See here, so you got Pleasanton, who we figure is going to win 28 versus Yoakum, the final in the 27. Marble Falls, and then you're going to find out for 26. I just went Davenport, Bernie, or Wimberley. Good luck. 27 for Lavernia versus Somerset or Hondo. 26 runner-up Davenport, Bernie, or Wimberley versus Georgetown Gateway. And then bottom, Idea Riverview versus Idea Alamo. CC London versus Gorilla or Vanguard Beethoven or Zapata, because I couldn't figure it out. Idea Edinburgh or question mark because I couldn't even figure out for 32. I was like, yeah, nobody really had any records, outside of a game or two. And then 30, Vanguard Academy Rembrandt versus Beeville Jones. Record wise, that seems pretty challenging here. To me, like I said, Marble Falls and Davenport, Bernie, or Wimberley. That seems like an interesting match, because I think Pleasanton should get by, assuming that they finish first, should get by Yoakum. But this one here, and then Lavernia should get by Somerset or Hondo. But then you got Davenport, Bernie, or Wimberley as the runner-up going against Georgetown Gateway. But it's the whole SanAntonio or the Hill Country versus the Austin matchups to me that are watch.
Now, at the quarterfinals, it's going to be an all-district 26 4A quarterfinal.
You think so?
It's going to be that way. Yeah, I don't see anyone else. Now, for the bottom bracket, more likely it's going to be Corpus Christi, London. I think getting to the states to the regional semifinal. Yeah,
and then like I said here, and then bottom half. Winner Davenport, Bernie, Wimberley versus Durrell High School. Gonzalez versus Floresville. That'll be a nice, interesting
competitive game.
Burnett versus Lake Canyon. You give
that could be your
Canyon
upset. That could be your upset special because if you look at Burnett, they're not, like I said, they pretty much ran away with that district,
25.
And there really isn't any. I don't have to put the district down. Much competition in that, and no, they're still a good team. They've beaten, they've beaten some good teams. They did have a loss against Stephenville. They lost to Brownwood, lost to Leander Rouse, but they did tie Wimberley 3-3. So that's one of the positive results they've had. They do play Marble Falls tomorrow. That's their final, and then they have against probably one of the top teams in the state, Salado, on the 19th for a warm up. But we could see, but Canyon Lake, like I said, they've proven themselves. That could be your upset special there, and I think they could end up being. I think this could end up being another 26 quarterfinal. For your first place and your fourth place team, so they may end up with a clean sweep, and we may end up having two representatives.
I always underrate Uvalde though when it comes to the playoffs, though.
They'll win against Kennedy, but that second game, they just don't match up at the level what 26 has.
And then I know down at the bottom it's Cal Allen and everybody else, but you got Hidalgo, Rockport, West Lake Pike, either Port Isabel or La Feria. Gorilla, Vanguard, or Zapata. That's going to go against Cal Allen, and then Port Isabella or La Feria or Progresso. But from speaking with you, it's Cal Allen going all the way till you get to the Sweet 16, right?
Yeah, and if whoever that's going to be an interesting matchup, in that regional semifinal. Like I said, remember Callan did make the final a couple years ago. They beat Bernie and they had a great run, and they're a team that you cannot underestimate. So, but it's going to be interesting. Like I said, but 26 4A has been the team, the district, been the featured district in Region 4, and I think we're probably going to have another representative there going to Georgetown.
So moving to the boys, Bernie, Davenport, Wimberley, and then Fredericksburg. So the top 4 seeds or the top 4 teams are set. Number 1 set, but who finishes second, third, or fourth, I guess, is probably still open. Bernie gets Canyon Lake and Wimberley. Fredericksburg gets Davenport and Bandera, so you figure a win for there. Wimberley gets Bandera, and then Bernie, and then Davenport gets Fredericksburg or Canyon Lake. So really for Davenport, they kind of control, can control their destiny. But for Wimberley and Fredericksburg, they each get Bandera, which is a win, but then they got Davenport and Bernie for that here. So how do you see this one kind of shaking out? Or, as far as for that second or third seeding, you think Fredericksburg can sneak in, or you think it's really going to be kind of how it is now?
I think it's going to be how it is now, unless you get like I said, a total upset. Like I said, I don't think Wimberley's going to lose to Bandera. Fredericksburg, they got Davenport. If they could surprise them, get a win, then it is a home game for them. So anything can happen, and then that goes to that last game, and which is a winnable game against Bandera. Yeah, so, and that'll be and Davenport will be at 6-4 too.
Canyon Lake's had a rough year. Right here, so it'll be interesting on how that one goes. 27 boys. Lavernia 6-0-1, Memorial 5-3-1, Kennedy 4-2-2. Fox Texas Gonzalez 3-4-1 for that here. And looking at it here, Lavernia has Gonzalez and Kennedy. Memorial has Gonzalez. Fox Tech has Kennedy and Lavernia, and Gonzalez has tough one, Lavernia and Memorial, to try to sneak back into the race here. So,
yeah, it's going to be all over. I think Lavernia will win this one. Fox. I was at the Fox Tech game versus Gonzalez. Fox Tech got a big win. And they actually, it was kind of a back and forth game, and they got the winner. I think Gonzalez knew if they had a tie in that game, they'd maintain that 4th spot. So it's going to come down to the last few games who gets that 4th spot. But as far as 1, 2, and 3, pretty much, Kennedy is within striking distance in Memorial, but Lavernia's got this locked up. But 2 and 3, there could be a challenge there because I think they do play each other. If you can go back to the schedules really quick.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So Gonzalez has got a tough one. Like I said, they have to beat Memorial, and then hope that Kennedy knocks off Fox Tech, and then Yoakum. Like I said, Fox Tech should beat Yoakum. So we could end up seeing those two teams, tie for the last spot. But whoever has the tiebreaker may end up getting that 4th spot. But Kennedy, like I said, any chances as far as getting that second spot? More likely is not, because they got, like I said, they got a tough one with Lavernia.
28 boys. Floresville 8-1, Uvalde 7-2, Somerset 7-3, Pleasanton 6-3, and then the huge gap. Floresville has Hondo and Uvalde, so really that Uvalde Floresville would be kind of a battle for the title. Uvalde has Hondo, Pearsall, and then Floresville, so 2 winnable games. Somerset has Pleasanton and Pearsall, and Pleasanton has Somerset and Poteet. So, it just to me, like I said here, I think everything's decided with the exception of who finishes first, and I think you're going to find that outcome the 19th when Floresville travels to Uvalde.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty much the district title game there, and then Somerset needs to win to hold off Pleasanton to keep that third spot. But a Pleasanton win could end up leapfrogging them. Like I said, this Friday is an important game. If Pleasanton gets a win against Somerset, they'll take over the third spot, and they'll clinch it against Poteet. They'll lock that one in.
Yeah, to me, the top four. And I think there is a game that's missing for Pleasanton that hasn't been registered as far as victory or loss here, but I'm going to assume that's most likely victory. But records are what they were, according to Max Preps and my SanAntonio for that here. So then moving to the last kind of bracket here to kind of go over real quick. Floresville would get the winner, assuming that they win 28, either against Fox Tech or Gonzales. Austin Achieve versus Wimberley, Lavernia versus Pleasanton, Fredericksburg versus Burnett. As far as for the top half, and then in the bottom half, Brownsville Jubilee, Idea Westlake Pike, Rockport Fulton, and question mark on their overall record. Vanguard Beethoven, Progresso, Brownsville Rivera, Farr, and then Alice High School. But I'm assuming the bottom half it's Brownsville Jubilee and Progresso on the collision path.
Yeah, more likely Progresso is going to win that one. They'll probably be the regional semifinalists.
And then the top half.
This could be interesting here.
There's no heavy favorites when I look at it here.
Yeah, that Austin Achieve team is a very tricky team, and I think Wimberley cannot take them lightly. That could, like I said, that can go either way. Flores, I think if Austin Achieve wins that one, I think they'll be favored over Floresville. This is Lavernia's chance here. They've been disappointed the last 2 years, losing in the first round. This is their chance here to go deep, and they can beat. I think they can beat Pleasanton.
Pleasanton's a sneaky team, though.
Yeah, I think they can beat.
Gave Lavernia problems.
Yeah, and I think this time around, I think they'll be serious about this, and then, and focus. And they got to listen. They need to listen. But maybe third time's the charm. But that'd be an interesting game between them and let's say Fredericksburg does go through. Fredericksburg and Lavernia would be a nice, a good matchup. But I think this is the chance for Lavernia to get to the regional semifinals.
Floresville, how do you rate them?
I think they can knock off Fox Tech or Gonzales, but the second round.
What if it's Uvalde in that slot?
They'll still win that. Uvalde will win that first round game, but they won't win the second round game.
Okay. And then moving down, Bernie, Lago Vista, Kennedy, Somerset, Marble Falls, Davenport, Uvalde, Memorial, Hidalgo, Ingleside, Alamo Idea, Brownsville Frontier. I think that's Corpus Christi, London versus North Mission, and Port Isabel and Edinburgh Quest here. The bigger names seem like in the bottom half where you got Bernie, Davenport, even Marble Falls. And that's why, to me, I kind of think Progresso or Brownsville Jubilee are on the easier path than this side of the bracket here, as far as for here. But Bernie Invitational.
Yeah, and I'm noticing that they have as far as what's it called, Marble Falls. They have them at second. No, that's the girls. So I think I heard Marble Falls had a good season so far. Them versus Bernie is probably going to be a really good. That's going to be a really good game. But Davenport, like I said, Davenport can pull off the upset. So if they can get things together, that's something that we could see. Uvalde and Memorial, that's a topside game. I think that can go either way. but I think Bernie's going to end up going to the regional semifinal. They're still my favorite to go to state. But they're on the collision course with the defending state champ. So Hidalgo, like I said, should have no problem with Ingleside. But that could be a tough one right there. That quarterfinal against London. So, but Bernie is wanting to get some revenge over last year against Hidalgo, and this time, like I said, they won't be playing after midnight, and they're getting a little short rest. And I think Coach Strong has them focused this year, and I think they can make another run. And then who knows, they could be the favorite to win it again.
So Rafa, we're already at 2 hours, which these shows typically go 2 hours. But this time of the year, like I said here, we're 2 weeks out. I wanted to kind of, since we didn't do the Power 15, that'll probably be next week because we'll have an idea of kind of where the dust is going to settle, where it may be your last Power 15 until the end of the playoffs along those lines. But you'll have the TAPPS playoffs already settled because obviously the girls have already finished up with TAPPS. The boys will finish up tomorrow. You've already got 1 second place team for the girls and at least 1 second place team for the boys as well. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if one wins the title or if they come up short, if how that affects your power rankings. And then of course we're at the end for the district play as far as who's going to make it, who's not, and then for the final seeding. So any final thoughts that you got or anything for the 50-50 show coming up, or the 50-50 podcast, I guess I should give the proper title to, not show, coming up here either this week or next week?
This Sunday. Yeah, I think it'll be this Sunday, possibly maybe in the afternoon, maybe 3 p.m. For episode 5. So we're actually going to cover statewide regions 3 and 4. So like I said, so everyone kind of got a little preview of region 4 already. So they already kind of know where I stand with the teams from 4A to 6A. We'll see about the Houston area.
I didn't hear any picks. I just,
I have. There were some picks I had, but I don't know what Steve's picking or what Coach Connell's picking as far as 4A and yours.
Steve says he's already ready, so he's already got his notepad done. So,
yeah, I know he's up there in Round Rock there watching the Central Catholic. So I know he's been chiming in with updates on there. So thanks for that. Thanks, Steve, for that. But one of the things I think this next 2 weeks. Who's peaking at the right time? That's gonna be, this is where you see your kind of your Cinderella start to creep, and that's what we saw, like I said, with Dripping Springs, a few years ago. Who's ready to take that next step and remain hot and get to Georgetown? We have our favorites. We have some key games coming up. We have some interesting matchups, and you saw, like I said, in the playoffs. It's going to be a shame some teams are going to get eliminated early on, but that's just the way it is. You either win, you go home. To be the man, you got to beat the man. That's, I don't care. We do a 6-1 to 464 seeding. That's how you play it. If you want to be the best, you have to, take care of business. So, but good luck to all the teams out there, the ones still in it. It should be interesting, and also. Said congrats to AJ making also the varsity. Hopefully they give him his nice little jacket at the end of the season. He's earned it. How that goes. So hopefully he gets a goal this coming Saturday. So, and then we have the SAFC opener too. So make sure you guys bundle up too. So, and also make sure to go visit the tailgate with FTC, Crocketeers, and 210 line. So we'll be there that day, so you can say hi to us.
And for anybody that's watching, be aware if you park in lot 2, it's $20. The new thing is lot 3, where the tailgate area is, it's $15. So be aware. I'm not sure if you need cash. I think it'll be an app because it's typically cashless is how most things are nowadays. But just get there early so that way you can kind of prepare. I do know lot 3 is first come, first serve, $15. Parking at lot 4, which is over by Heroes. That's still free, so along those lines here. But through there, also on the drone show, they said stay in your seats. Now, if it's really windy, that's my question on there. for that here. But Rafa, like I said, here was fun. Like I said, here warming up here, unlike Steve, where where he doesn't do these little prep marathons here. Kind of a 5K for it here. So it was a pleasure speaking with you, Rafa, and thank you for everybody tuning in. Looking at the numbers here, it does look like that there was quite a few people watching. So thank you if you can like and subscribe to wherever that you're on the platform. Might be something that maybe we review going in about 8:30 for that here, because I do think we get a little bit more views, especially because kids are out of practice along those lines. So thank you for everybody tuning in. What's Life Without Goals? We're out of here, and like I said, we'll see you Sunday for the SAFC Fancast, and then next Thursday for the Power 15, and kind of a quick look at the standings at that point as well here. So, and hopefully congratulate Central Catholic on the title.